I need to tell you about how a photographer's mistake saved me from a marriage built on lies. About how the happiest day of my life was actually the biggest betrayal. About how my husband and my best friend used my wedding as cover for something unforgivable. But first I need to tell you about the wedding, so you understand what I thought I was celebrating. My name is Brooke, and I'm 29 years old. I married my husband, Kevin, 14 months ago. Or rather, I thought I married him. What I actually did was participate in the ceremony while he was already betraying me with my maid of honor. Kevin and I met 3 years before the wedding through a dating app. He was 31, worked in software development, seemed genuine and kind. Our first date was at a casual Italian restaurant, and we talked for 4 hours. By the end of the night, I knew I wanted to see him again. We dated for 2 years before we proposed. It was everything I'd dreamed of. He took me to the botanical garden where we'd had one of our early dates, got down on one knee by the fountain, and asked me to be his wife. I said yes, immediately. I was so happy I couldn't stop crying. My best friend since college, Hannah, was the first person I called. She screamed with excitement and immediately started talking about wedding planning. I asked her to be my maid of honor before I even hung up the phone. She said yes without hesitation. Hannah and I had been friends for 8 years. We'd been roommates in college, been through breakups together, supported each other through everything. She was like a sister to me. When I started dating Kevin, she was skeptical at first, but eventually warmed up to him. They got along well, would joke around at gatherings, seemed comfortable together. I introduced them about 6 months into my relationship with Kevin. They hit it off immediately, which made me happy. I wanted my best friend and my boyfriend to like each other. Made social events so much easier when everyone got along. The wedding planning took about a year. Hannah was incredibly involved, helping me with every decision. Venue tours, cake tastings, dress shopping. She was there for all of it. She even took time off work to help me with last-minute details the week before the wedding. Kevin seemed less interested in the planning, but I didn't mind. He approved the big decisions and trusted me with the details. He said he just wanted me to be happy, and whatever I chose was fine with him. The wedding was in October at a beautiful estate venue. Outdoor ceremony in a garden, followed by a reception in their grand ballroom. We had about 150 guests. Everything was planned down to the last detail. I remember feeling so grateful that day. Grateful for Kevin, for Hannah, for our families, for the beautiful weather. Everything felt perfect. The ceremony was emotional. Kevin cried during his vows. I cried during mine. Hannah stood beside me, holding my bouquet, dabbing her own eyes. When we were pronounced husband and wife and Kevin kissed me, I thought it was the happiest moment of my life. The reception was a blur of joy. Dinner, speeches, first dance. Hannah gave a beautiful maid of honor speech about our friendship and how happy she was that I'd found Kevin. She talked about how he was perfect for me, how she'd never seen me happier. Everyone was crying. Throughout the night, I remember noticing Kevin and Hannah talking a few times, but I didn't think anything of it. They were friends. Of course, they'd chat at my wedding. I was busy talking to guests and enjoying the celebration. At one point, I noticed Hannah was gone for a while. When she came back, I asked where she'd been. She said she'd stepped outside for some air because she was feeling emotional. I hugged her and thanked her for being such an amazing friend. Kevin also disappeared for a bit during the reception. When I found him, he said he'd been talking to some college buddies who'd come from out of town. I kissed him and pulled him back to the dance floor. The night ended with sparklers and a scent. Kevin and I went to our hotel suite and spent our first night as husband and wife. It was romantic and perfect, and I fell asleep thinking about how lucky I was. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in Greece. Beaches, history, incredible food. We took hundreds of photos. Kevin was attentive and loving. I had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. We came back and settled into married life. Everything seemed normal, happy, exactly what I'd hoped for. About 2 weeks after we returned from the honeymoon, I got an email from our wedding photographer, Rachel. The subject line said, "Full gallery for review." Rachel had told us she'd send the edited photos in about 6 weeks, but wanted to send the full unedited gallery first so we could flag any shots we definitely wanted included or excluded. She said the folder would be huge with thousands of photos, but to take our time looking through them, I opened the link excitedly. I couldn't wait to relive the day through her professional lens. The gallery was organized into folders: ceremony, reception, details, portraits, candids, behind the scenes. I started with the ceremony folder, beautiful shots of me getting ready, of Kevin waiting at the altar, of our first look, of the vows, of the kiss. Everything was stunning. I moved to reception, more gorgeous photos, the first dance, the cake cutting, the speeches. I was smiling, looking through all of them. Then I noticed another folder at the bottom. It was labeled "Do Not Send Review First." I shouldn't have opened it. It clearly wasn't meant for me, but curiosity got the better of me. I thought maybe it was unflattering shots or photos where someone blinked, outtakes that needed review before being deleted. I clicked on the folder. The first few photos were what I expected. Blurry shots. Photos where people were mid-blink, nothing interesting. Then I saw a photo that made my heart stop. It was Kevin and Hannah. They were standing in what looked like a hallway or back area of the venue. They were very close together. His hand was on her waist. She was looking up at him. I clicked to the next photo. They were kissing. I felt like I couldn't breathe. This had to be a mistake. A weird angle. Something I was misunderstanding. I clicked through more photos. There were dozens of them. Kevin and Hannah in this hidden area during our wedding reception. Kissing, touching, his hands in her hair, her hands on his chest. Photos that were unmistakably intimate. The timestamp on the photos showed they were taken during the reception. While I was dancing with guests and thanking people for coming, my husband and my maid of honor were sneaking away to be together. I sat at my computer and stared at the screen. The photos blurred as tears filled my eyes. There was a series of photos showing them leaving through a side door, then returning separately about 20 minutes later, Hannah adjusting her dress, Kevin fixing his tie. 20 minutes. They'd been gone for 20 minutes during my wedding reception. Rachel, the photographer, had apparently been documenting the venue, taking detailed shots of the gardens and architecture, and had stumbled upon them. She'd captured everything, and then accidentally sent those photos to me. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to call Kevin immediately and demand an explanation. Part of me wanted to drive to Hannah's apartment and confront her. Part of me wanted to pretend I'd never seen these photos and go on living my happy married life. But I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. My husband kissing my best friend at our wedding. On the day we got married, while I was in the next room celebrating what I thought was the beginning of our life together. I needed to know how deep this went. Was this a one-time thing? A drunken mistake at the wedding? Or something more? I started looking through Kevin's things while he was at work. I felt sick doing it, but I needed to know. I found his iPad and guessed his pet. It was our wedding date. Ironic, I opened his messages and searched for Hannah's name. There were hundreds of messages between them, going back over a year. Long before our wedding, I read through them with growing horror. They'd been sleeping together for 14 months. Since 3 months after Kevin proposed to me, they'd been having an affair for almost our entire engagement. The messages were explicit, detailed descriptions of what they'd done together. Plans to meet up while I was at work or traveling. Photos I couldn't bear to look at, but that were clearly intimate. And messages from our wedding day, from Hannah to Kevin that morning. I can't believe this is happening. I'm going to be standing next to her while she marries you. Kevin's response, I know, but we agreed. After the wedding, we figured out our next steps. Hannah, I love you. I hate that we have to hide this. Kevin, I love you too. Soon, they loved each other. They'd been saying I love you while I was planning to marry him. While Hannah was helping me choose my wedding dress, there were messages from during the reception to Hannah texting Kevin, meet me in the back hallway in 10 minutes. I need to be with you. Kevin responding, on my way. And after, that was worth the risk. You looked so beautiful today, Hannah. Not as beautiful as she looked. I felt like such a fraud, standing up there. Kevin, we'll figure this out. I promise. Just give me some time after the honeymoon. They'd planned to be together. The wedding wasn't the end of the affair. It was just a pause while they figured out how to continue it. I put down the iPad and threw up in our bathroom. The bathroom in the apartment I shared with my husband, who was in love with my best friend. I spent the rest of that day in a haze. When Kevin came home from work, I looked at him and felt nothing but disgust. He kissed me, hello, asked about my day, acted completely normal. Like he hadn't been planning to leave me for my maid of honor. I didn't confront him that night. I needed to think. I needed a plan. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Once Kevin left, I called the photographer Rachel. You accidentally sent me a folder you weren't supposed to, I told her. She was quiet for a moment, then, oh God, the review folder. Yes, I'm so sorry. Those were supposed to be deleted? I was documenting the venue and I accidentally captured something I shouldn't have. I didn't know what to do with them. I was going to delete them, but I wanted to review them first to make sure none of them were recoverable. I'm so sorry you saw those. How did you even capture them? I was taking photos of the back gardens and that hallway area. The lighting was beautiful. And then I came around a corner and saw them. I took a few photos before I realized what I was seeing. Then I left immediately. I didn't know what to do. Why didn't you tell me? It wasn't my place. I didn't know if it was a one-time thing or if maybe you knew or had some kind of arrangement. I didn't want to insert myself into your marriage. I understand, but I'm glad I saw them. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. I spent that day gathering more evidence. Screenshots of the text messages on Kevin's iPad. Bank statements showing hotels and restaurant charges that corresponded with times he'd told me he was working late. A complete timeline of their affair. Then I called Hannah. Can you come over? I asked, keeping my voice casual. Kevin's working late and I want to show you the wedding photos the photographer sent. She sounded cheerful. I'd love to be there in 20 minutes. I set up my laptop with the photos ready. Not the beautiful ceremony shots, the folder she was never supposed to see. Hannah arrived with a bottle of wine. She ragged me, told me I looked tired, asked how married life was treating me. We sat on my couch and I turned the laptop toward her. I opened the Do Not Send folder. I watched her face as she realized what she was seeing. The color drained away. Her hand went to her mouth. Brooke, she whispered, I can explain. Can you? Because I've also read the text messages. All of them. 14 months. Hannah. You've been sleeping with Kevin for 14 months. She started crying. I never meant for this to happen. You never meant for it to happen. You slept with him for over a year. You helped me plan my wedding while having an affair with my fiancé. You gave a speech at my reception about how perfect we were together and then snuck off to make out with him in a hallway. I love him, she said quietly. I know that doesn't make it okay, but I love him. I've loved him since almost the beginning. The beginning of what? My relationship. We didn't plan it. We started talking more, getting closer. It just developed into something we couldn't control. You could have controlled it. You could have told me. You could have stopped being my friend if you couldn't stop yourself from sleeping with my boyfriend. I didn't want to lose you, but you were willing to betray me. For a year. She had no answer. Get out of my apartment, I said, and don't ever contact me again. She left crying. I didn't feel bad for her at all. When Kevin came home that night, I was waiting with my bags packed. Not his bags, mine. I was leaving. What's going on? He asked, seeing the suitcases. I know about you and Hannah. I've seen photos. I've read your messages. I know everything. His face went through several emotions. Surprise, fear, something almost like relief. How long were you planning to wait before leaving me for her? I asked. A month, a year. Were you going to let me waste my entire life on a marriage that was fake from the start? It wasn't fake. I do love you, but you love her more. You've been telling her you love her for over a year. You were planning a future with her while marrying me. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. You knew exactly what you wanted. You wanted both of us. The wife for appearances and the girlfriend for everything else. That's not fair. Not fair. You slept with my best friend at our wedding during our reception. While I was celebrating marrying you. How is anything about this fair? He didn't have an answer either. I went to my parents' house that night, filed for divorce the next day. An annulment actually, since we'd been married less than a year and the marriage was based on fraud. Kevin tried to fight it at first, said we should go to counseling, work through this. I refused. There was nothing to work through. He'd been having an affair for our entire engagement. He'd brought his mistress to our wedding as my maid of honor. He'd snuck away from our reception to be with her. Some things can't be fixed. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. I got to keep most of the wedding gifts since the marriage was annulled for fraud. Small consolation. Hannah and Kevin are together now. Publicly, they didn't even wait until the divorce was final. I see their photos on social media, sometimes posted by mutual friends who haven't figured out that I need to be removed from the group chat. They look happy. I hope they're not. I hope every moment of their relationship is tainted by how it started, by what they did to me. But mostly I just don't think about them anymore. I've moved on, started over, built a new life without a cheating husband or a backstabbing best friend. It's been over a year now. I'm dating again, carefully. I'm making new friends, slowly. I'm learning to trust, but also learning to protect myself. I reached out to Rachel, the photographer, a few months after the divorce. Thanked her for accidentally sending that folder. She'd been mortified, kept apologizing. I told her she did me a favor. If I hadn't seen those photos, I might have stayed married to Kevin for years before finding out the truth. She didn't charge me for the photos, said it was the least she could do. I never did get the edited wedding album. Didn't want it. What would I do with beautiful photos of the worst day of my life? I burned my wedding dress. Had a little ceremony in my parents' backyard with a bottle of wine and some match. Watched that white lace turn to ash and felt something like peace. So I want to ask you something. If you received photos showing your spouse cheating at your own wedding, would you confront them immediately or gather more evidence first? And do you think the photographer should have told me what she saw? Or was she right to stay out of it? Because I go back and forth on whether I would have wanted to know sooner or if finding out through the photos was actually better. If your wedding photographer accidentally sent you photos of your spouse cheating with someone in your wedding party during the reception, how would you react? Would you be grateful they captured the evidence or furious no one told you sooner? And could you ever trust a best friend again after a betrayal like this? I really want to hear your thoughts because I'm still processing all of it.